So in Nephi chapter 17, Nephi is talking to his brothers about the children of Israel being led away out of Egypt to settle Jerusalem. And Nephi obviously he draws comparisons between their current state of fleeing Jerusalem to the children of Israel who were fleeing Egypt. So his brothers didn't want to hearken to the word of the Lord, and Nephi saying, well, we're like the children of Israel, and we should hearken unto the word of the Lord. So, for example, in verse 23 it says, And it came to pass that I, Nephi, spake unto them, saying, Do you believe that our fathers, who were the children of Israel, would have been led away out of the hands of the Egyptians if they had not hearkened unto the words of the Lord? Anyways, the more that I read the scriptures, the more I realize I've been able to see how many exoduses there are. So you have the children of Israel fleeing Egypt, but before that you have Abraham going to his promised land. You have Joseph and his family going to Egypt to flee famine. You have Adam and Eve being expelled from the Garden of Eden. You have the Israelites being carried off into Babylon, and then being turned into Persia, and then them coming from Persia back to build the temple. And so there's several migrations, several exoduses. In the Book of Mormon, it's similar. So you have the Lehites here who leave Jerusalem and come to the Americas. Then later on, you're going to have the Nephites separate from the Lamanites and leave the land of Nephi and go somewhere else. You're going to have, they're going to separate from the Lamanites and go to the land of Nephi. And then they're going to flee the land of Nephi under the first king Mosiah and go to the land of Zarahemla. Zarahemla, they meet with the Mulekites, who also fled Jerusalem. And then you also have the people under Zeniff who go back to the land of Nephi. You have then Alma the Younger and his group leaving the land of Nephi again and going to the land of Helam, and then later to Zarahemla. And you have the people under King Limhi leaving the land of Nephi and going to the land of Zarahemla. And then you have the Jaredites also who are traveling, and they leave the Tower of Babel, and they are migration. And so you ask yourself, why are there so many migrations? Why are there so many exoduses in the scriptures? And I think it's because there's so many migrations and exoduses in our lives, and God is speaking to us. So, for example, just like Nephi is finding inspiration here and comfort in the story of Moses leading the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, I imagine lots of the early Latter-day Saint pioneers found comfort in the story of Nephi and Lehi leaving the land of Jerusalem to go into the wilderness and build up a new home. The history of the church parallels the scriptures in that it's full of exoduses, from New York to Ohio, from Ohio to Missouri to Nauvoo to the Great Basin out west in the United States, and then just the big gathering. And then also just in our personal lives, I feel like there's lots of exoduses. So yeah, the scriptures are books full of migrations and full of traveling, and it's comforting because not only does that parallel life, but also it's symbolic for our travel through life to the celestial kingdom or to heaven, to wherever our final destination is. The travel over land can become symbolic of the travel through time that is our lives. And that's another powerful way in which the scriptures can speak to us, is through finding symbolic meanings in these migrations.